All right, guys, I can't believe we're actually going to do this, but we have a special case here. So the guy just bought this truck. It looks like a 10-year-old has worked on it. The PMD has a heat sink on it. It's just sitting here loose. The boost gauge has been JB welded on, apparently. We have somebody has manually put just a piece of threaded stock in here for the wastegate and literally had it pinned shut. At some point, it looks like somebody's put a Batmobile or a billet wheel in there at some point in time. And it's a mess. The radiator was busted out, so we just put a radiator in it. I suspect that it's got a cracked head, a cracked block, or God only knows what. But it's in really bad shape. So we're gonna try this. This is the high-end fiber lock stuff, and he's got $1,500 in this truck. That's a two-wheel drive that somebody's done a really sorry paint job on. And normally we would not use this, but we're gonna give it a shot. You can see all the overspray on the tire there. So the reality of this is just in parts alone, we're looking at $400 or $500 by the time we do 2 gallons of oil, put 2 or 3 gallons of coolant in it, replace the head gaskets, replace the head studs, all the upper end gaskets. And there's still just so much going on. They had a cheap filter on the end of this, and once again, it could be a cracked block or a cracked head, and this truck is just not worth it. You can even see where they've got 2 different style bolts on the upper intake manifold, and that's definitely not a gasket, that's RTV. So we're gonna follow the instructions and use this as an experiment, and we're gonna try it. So okay guys, round 2. So it only got to run for about a minute before I shut it off because there was so much pressure in the system. They were coming out right there. So we put a second clamp on it. That's it to be holding right now. We'll see how it does. I do not think this is going to work. This motor has some issues. So we'll see. You'll see all the smoke coming out down there. I did put 2 quarts of 50-50 mix in it. God. As you can see, it's just coming right out the tailpipe there. I will be amazed if this works. Alright guys, so we're about to shut off. We're about 11 minutes into this first cycle, and you can see the blow by has stopped a lot. What's more impressive is if I can get down here, that dripping is hot. So I don't know if it's working or not, but it's a positive sign. We do have the thermostat on it right now. We'll obviously have to reinstall that to get it to a proper heat cycle. Something's going on, and it definitely still has pressure in the hose. That hose is rock solid. I can't barely squeeze it. So, it's still got coolant in it, obviously. So we'll do about 3 more minutes, shut it off, and we'll let cool for something out of it. Alright guys, so we're going to break this down. It's been about 24 hours since we first supplied the product, and it has worked to some degree. Mainly, if you notice, it's not smoking like a freight train. And it's no longer peeing coolant out of the exhaust. So that's a huge improvement. It's running a lot smoother, it starts easier, and I was actually able to let the truck idle for about an hour and then drive it for about 10 miles, and it actually ran pretty well. We don't have a thermostat in it still. It's still getting a lot of excess pressure, and if you notice, you can hear it venting a little bit from right there. That's why we have it turned up. We put a lower pressure cap on it. It's only about 13 psi cap versus the 16 that was on it. And I mean, it seems to be doing okay, but there's obviously still a lot of pressure building up in that system that shouldn't be. But this thing had a lot of issues. It still has a lot of issues. And the fact that it has gotten it back to a drivable status is pretty impressive. We also lost some of the product. When we first put the thermostat back in it, immediately the pressure was so high it started blowing it out of the radiator cap, out of the overflow, and we did lose at least a percentage of the product. I can't tell how much was actually lost. We had to cap it back off with water and remove the radiator cap so that wouldn't be an issue. But I'm really impressed. Even though it hasn't been a full fix, it got the truck back to where it's at least somewhat drivable. He could drive back to his house, figure out what he wants to do with it. He had to tow it here, and I mean, it's still hurt. I mean, there's still a problem there, but for the amount of time it's taken for the product to work and just the dramatic improvement, I was very skeptical, but it's definitely a much better truck than what it was, and for the cost of 50 bucks, hey, it is what it is. I also suspect as it sits in here for longer, it will probably improve. I was actually able to pressurize the system and hold 15 to 20 PSI on it for over an hour. We tried it with 15 PSI at first, then we just bumped it up to 20 just to see if it would hold, and it did. So what I think is happening right now, the compression in the engine with these having over 20 to 1 compression is probably blowing a little bit through the gasket or crack still, and that's what's causing the cooling system to pressurize. But there's still product in the system. It may continue to work. We may have to do a second dose. I mean, if it gets him down the road, you know, for a couple weeks or a couple months until he can afford to do it properly and we can pull these heads, I would consider it a win. All right, guys, so I'm working today. We have a really nasty ice storm coming in tonight, so I'm trying to make this quick. I just wanted to update you on that last video. So after driving the truck a little bit more, we found the truck was not tuned. It'll throw basically a check engine code and defuel the truck anytime you go over about 11.5, 12 pounds of boost. So we continue to dial that wastegate back. We ended up setting it around peak 11 pounds. It'll typically hold right around 10 pounds. And even at that level, the truck is not getting any sort of black smoke. It's not rolling coal, which tells me that it's probably a stop tuning the truck. The guy was probably an idiot and just overboosting the crap out of the turbo because he liked to hear the whistling sound. When I first drove that truck with the pinned wastegate, it tried to hit 16 pounds of boost and I got out of it. I feel like it probably would have done more. And with all the boost leaks, I'm sure the shaft speed on that thing was ridiculous. So let's get back to the bars leak. Now, I believe that this product is a very good product. And I would strongly recommend, if you're going to try this, to get the one with the fibers, whether it's bars leak, KW, Blue Devil, whatever it might be. They're all probably very good products. We use the bars leak with the fibers in this case. It has been a couple days now. The owner's gotten the truck back. He's driven it over 200 miles. He's actually using it today for work. He hauls things, wood, trailers, so on and so forth, all the time. And he's rather hard on his vehicles. With that information in mind, he has driven over 200 miles problem-free. It drives dramatically better. It is not overheated. It has not spewed out coolant anywhere. The product is working. So my hats are off to Bars Leak. It appears that it is working. I am not sponsored by Bars Leak. I bought these products out of my own money. I only charge the customer, I want to say $280 total. And if that seems like a lot, I suggest you becoming a diesel mechanic, because I had a lot of hours in this. After coolant, oil, keep in mind 3 gallons of coolant, 2 gallons of oil, replacing the cap, buying the Bars Leak product, the spring for the wastegate, building a bracket for the PMD, buying the gasket for the upper and lower intake manifold to separate them, installing that, and all the miscellaneous screws, bolts, whatever I might have used, I probably made like 80 bucks. So, and I mean, I did that mainly because he's a young guy, he's in a tight spot, he's trying hard to work, and he needed help. Down the road, we're hoping to go back and replace those head gaskets, but for right now, it's getting him until hopefully he can save up and be able to do that. Ideally, I'd like to do ARP head studs, go ahead, have the heads surfaced, and definitely have everything checked on them, and then put fresh gaskets on it, and that way we know it's good, and it'll be good for hopefully a long time for him. So guys, if you like these videos, please like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, concerns, please leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer as many as I can. And I want to thank you guys for being part of this channel. I never thought I'd have people that actually cared about what I did or said. This was very interesting. I did not expect it to work. I was incredibly skeptical. And this was an extreme case with a high compression diesel. I mean, these things are over 20-to-1 compression. The cylinder pressures are very high. And for it to work at all was impressive. So, once again, thank you guys. Be safe out there. I got to get back to work. Have a good day.